Hey, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kiyonah. Cheers, and may you be blessed. So today I'd like to talk with you about resisting social pressure to conform, resisting conformity, including conformity to nonconformity. And I know how I feel about this subject, but I don't actually know a lot about it. So I'm going to look some things up while I'm talking with you. So, I think part of being true to yourself and being authentic and being powerful, being grounded and centered, being aware, all of these things depend on being true to you, to yourself, to the guidance of your higher self, to the true nature of your subconscious, to all the parts of you integrated into a whole. All of that goes back to being true to yourself. And conformity and pressure to conform greatly hinders the ability to be that way, to be true to yourself. I found an article on a website called Simple Psychology, and this is what it says. Conformity is a type of social influence defined as a change in belief or behavior in response to real or imagined social pressure. It is also known as majority influence. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, and I can vividly remember how scandalous it was when this one girl came to school one day with purple boots on. It was considered so radical, and I actually remember feeling a certain kind of terror that she was now going to be ostracized. She was a really unusual girl amongst everybody that we knew. She had like short, spiky hair. She wore all kinds of funky, mismatched clothes. She wore glasses like a scientist from the 50s. This was in 1983-ish. And I always thought that she had something special about her, some kind of courage to just totally rock it and own it and be herself, despite this tremendous social pressure to conform that everybody felt. This pressure to not be different or to be acceptable, to fit in. And even if you didn't have a lot of friends, you still didn't want to be outside of those parameters, because then you would be ostracized. And there was just some kind of horror in that, So a lot of times we conform. So there's different types of conformity. There's compliance. There's internalization. There's identification. And each of these are pretty interesting. Compliance refers to instances where a person may agree in public with a group of people, but the person actually privately disagrees with the group's viewpoint or behavior. The individual changes their views, but it is a temporary change. For example, a person may laugh at a joke because their group of friends find it funny, but deep down the person does not find the joke funny. Now, for me, I don't do that. I'm real, and sometimes I try to excuse myself and say maybe I have autism or something, but I really don't get that joke. I don't understand it at all, why it would be funny, I'm real, even if it makes me seem like a bitch, because I feel like it's important for people to know the truth so that they can act accordingly. If they're telling jokes that aren't funny and they're trying to make you laugh, maybe you could ease into a different way of connecting or talking about something different. I don't know. I feel really uncomfortable when someone is making jokes that I don't understand at all. So I don't laugh at it even though I don't find it funny. I don't do that. The next one is internalization. Publicly changing behavior to fit in with the group while also agreeing with them privately. an internal or private and external public change of behavior, both public and private. This is the deepest level of conformity, where the beliefs of the group become part of the individual's own belief system. An example of internalization is if someone lived with a vegetarian at college and then decides to also become one too, it's because they agree with their friend's viewpoint. And someone converting religions would also be a good example. You internalize it, I guess, and it becomes your reality. You know, it becomes your identity. And that's okay if it's healthy and good and it serves, you know, and it's a blessing. It's not okay if it doesn't. There's no reason to have to internalize something else or someone else or something, you know. You need to stay fresh and open and aware, flexible, adaptable, you know, willing to be open to serendipity and, you know, go with the flow. And then finally it lists identification. Identification occurs when someone conforms to the demands of a given social role in society. For example, a policeman, teacher, or politician. This type of conformity extends over several aspects of external behavior. However, there is still no change to the internal personal opinion. Well, that's interesting. And, you know, there's even conformity to nonconformity. Rather than just walking your path and being uniquely you, even though you don't fit in anywhere and you're just you're unique. You know, it's better to be that way than it is to try to be like everybody else. Even when I go to rainbow gatherings, I notice a certain aesthetic in the way that they dress. That's obviously really pleasing to the eye and cool. You know, they have it down, they're stylized. I kind of like that, but I also like being surprised by new innovations, you know. You got imitators and you've got innovators. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you want to be an innovator, you can't really worry about conforming. If you want to be an imitator, which is pleasing to see people in cool costumes and see them doing poi and seeing them do all of those tribalistic, wild human kind of psychedelic things, you know. If they were conforming to some dance troupe organization and they were doing a public performance downtown, they would all be stylized to act like each other. But in conformity to nonconformity, it's like you're staying within certain parameters of what's cool, but you're doing it in a unique twist, I think. So there's conformity to nonconformity that's not so good. And that's, for example, like you can look at a group of punks from the 1970s, and to me they all look the same. They all have the same clothes, the same hair, the same jewelry. There's nothing unique. You know, if you look at films from the Grateful Dead lots in the 80s, a lot of the people are dressed the same. Like girls are in paisley dresses that twirl and guys are in tie-dye t-shirts and stuff. And there's a certain conformity to nonconformity. Like they're dressing to be within a certain emotional signature or frequency. You know. But I don't conform to any group. And I never have. And it's not because I don't want to. I've tried to. But I always just end up being myself. You know? Which is different than other people. And it can be surprising and fresh. People comment all the time about the coats I'm wearing or the hats I'm wearing or whatever. You know, they like that and it gives them a little zinger. And then they go home and they want to be stylish, you know? And I get that feeling from other people that I see. You know, there's just something fun about adornment and expressing texture and color and fabric and your spirit, you know. So I understand the need to conform, I really do. I've had to conform to standards and patterns and stuff that I did not resonate with at all. I had to conform in order to survive in that situation. I guess I did not internalize it or identify with it, though. But I definitely felt that pressure. And as soon as I was able to get enough distance from that, when I moved and I went to a different school or whatever, you know, it took time to decompress, but I eventually became my true self again. You know, I do like wild human clothing, you know, which could also be described as a certain aesthetic, like fairy clothes, elf clothes, Renaissance clothes, survivalism clothes, you know, camping and hunting clothes, stuff like that, that evokes kind of a natural vibe, like you spend a lot of time close to the earth, you know. And I didn't get that from trying to copy anyone else. That's just what I really like, you know. And fortunately, there are people out there, especially on Etsy, who make that kind of clothes, and they'll custom make them for you if you describe what you want to them. So I like that flavor. I don't like pretentiousness, you know, like someone who walks around in muslin dresses with their really long dreadlocks all piled up on top of their head, and they look glorious. They really do. But it seems overdressed or pretentious or something, you know, if it's not the right situation for such a holy vibe. I don't know. To me, sometimes that can be pretentious. I think a true medicine person should walk around in God mode, in the mode of their personal power, because they truly are humble and aware and just chill, you know. But when there's a pretentiousness to it, it can look pleasing, but then it can seem overly identified, you know, with a stylized way of being, rather than being your true self. I don't know. I probably think too much. But I just wanted to say a few things about resisting the pressure to conform. You know, according to psychologists, you need to have a strong internal locus of control. You need to be grounded and centered in yourself in order to successfully resist social pressure to conform in any situation, rather than being genuine and sincere and authentic and true. You know, you need allies who will support you in whatever you decide. And you need space to feel your truth without pressure. Time to think, space to think. Think what you really want, what you really think, what you really feel about it, and say, you know what? On second thought, I changed my mind because I'm free and I can do that. I don't want to go along with whatever it is. Or if I do go along with it, I'm going to do it on my terms, you know, because I know what's good and right and true and beautiful. And I think that's a really healthy way to be. You should listen to the input you get from the world and consider it with all of the wisdom you can muster. But it makes me feel instantly uncomfortable to feel that pressure to conform. It's like it rubs me the wrong way and it turns on my radar, and I just really don't like it at all. You know, if you feel pressure to conform, just remember that you are fine just the way you are. You should rock it, you should own it, you should be true to it, and just be real and sincere. You don't have to be pretentious, you know, about your individuality. Just be real and be you, you know. That's what people like. They like it when you're just real. And real comes in the whole spectrum, you know. For some people, being real is being positive and happy all the time. For other people, it's being fairly grumpy. And for others, it's just being mellow and chill. For others, it's like being really interested and helpful about everything. There's all different emotional signatures, you know. And you have to take off your masks. You have to lay down your identities. you have to just feel life as it is for you right now. And just do the best you can with what you have from where you're at right now. To be real. Yeah, you don't have fancy things, but what you do have, you chose the coolest you could find, at a thrift shop or just going through your old things or whatever. I would love to have sheepskin rugs everywhere, but I don't have that ability right now. So I just choose earth tone rugs that I found everywhere by the side of the road and when people cleaned out their garage and in thrift shops and things. So my home is eclectic. It's not the ideal of an interior decorator. It's very eclectic. It's my comfortable things that I like to be surrounded by in my home. And when people come here, they feel a sense of surprise and delight. From the color of our walls to what we have hanging up and everything. We don't have a TV. We have a giant stereo system and a ton of books, and a beautiful view from out all the windows. So we don't even worry about conforming. The only area where we do anything is we compete with our neighbors to see who can use the least amount of electricity. And we always win, always. Fred always saves that sheet of the utility bill that shows that our house used the lowest amount. So that's a good kind of conformity to the transition to a sustainable economy by reducing our energy consumption so that it's not necessary to extract fuels from the earth. So, I think loosening the grip of social pressure to conform, loosening that happens over time as you gain maturity and you understand yourself as you really are, and you just get a Zen attitude of enlightenment about everything. The contemplation just seems really, the conformity seems very artificial to me. It's not necessary. It's not the style that I want. It's not the energetic signature that I want to resonate with. I like when people are just truly themselves, even if they're very flawed or not attractive or whatever. If they can just be themselves without some kind of artificial nicey nice, socially acceptable way of being or something, I would rather know someone as they really are. I'd rather they lay their cards on the table as they are. So that's my thoughts on resisting social pressure to conform. You need to be grounded and centered so that you have a strong locus of control, internal locus of control to resist pressure to conform. And you need space and time alone to think about what you really want and believe. And you need allies who will support you in that, who will back you up. If you don't have allies, that's okay. But you're probably going to turn to the spirit world, or you're going to really strengthen your internal locus of control, your higher self, So those are the three things that you really need to resist pressure to conform. You just need awareness. You need awareness. And then you need willpower to consciously choose what you actually want and to say it in a diplomatic way that builds connection, that convinces people to do it because they feel like they want to do it, You don't pressure other people to conform to your expectations, and you don't allow others to pressure you to conform to their expectations. You all decide in a mature way what you think and what you want and what you feel, etc. And then you come together, you communicate, you compromise, you be nonviolent, you don't cause any kind of emotional or other damage to people because of conformity or nonconformity. Just total non-judgmentalism, total unconditional love. Say that's your way and this is mine. You know, different strokes for different folks. It takes a lot of different kind of people to make the world go round. So remember that there is strength in unity, and unity is strengthened by diversity. You know, and the world needs you. We need your uniqueness. We need your personal flavor. We need your chi. You know, it makes the world more interesting in some way or another. So just gradually or quickly let yourself be who you really are. Don't act fake on the surface and then go in your house and be just fiercely angry. In the moment, tell the person, you know, I respect you, and I mean no offense, but I must beg to differ with that, okay? I need to debunk that for both of us, okay? You know, I am a sovereign being, and I am perfectly capable of analyzing situations and acting accordingly to wisdom and the highest good. I don't need to be told what to do. I don't need to be told what to think. And I will stand up for myself and my beloveds in their lives, you know, if they are pressured as well to conform. You know, you have to conform to the cops watching you. You have to conform to social services concerns. You have to conform to what the public schools expect. You have to conform to what your city expects you to do if you're a homeowner or you work or something. Conformity, conformity, conformity. But I'm saying that you can walk through that as your unique self. You can walk through that world of conformity. You know, sometimes I feel really weird. Like, I would go to homeless day shelters just dressed as myself, and sometimes men and women would get angry at me and say, "What are you doing here? Are you the queen of the homeless? Do you think you're better than us?" And then others would treat me like a queen, like I was so beautiful, and would I sit with them and talk with them, and they'd pick a flower and hand it to me and ask me if I wanted half of their donut. You know, it was really weird to walk. I felt like I had spirit flames around me or something. Soft, beautiful, flickering spirit flames, you know. But I was just walking through my world consistently, not becoming ragged and downtrodden in order to go to the homeless day shelter. I carry myself as I am everywhere I go. I didn't conform to that emotional signature, that vibration, that frequency. But yet, those are some of my people, and I am one of them. And I don't mean to be swanky or fancy or anything. I'm just being myself. All my clothes come from thrift shops where I find them. You know, everything is secondhand. I just put my energy into it. My energy. I put my energy into whatever I'm doing or wearing or whatever. And people like it. It's way more interesting than if I was being a secretary and going to community college and shopping at the mall and going to the beach for vacation and, you know, watching mainstream TV shows. I could just as easily be something like that. But not really. I'm not capable of conforming to that. I've tried in the past and I did not sustain it. So I'm going to wrap it up now. So I love channeling these messages. I don't know if the information comes from my higher self or a spirit guide or just from the source. But when I make these videos, it feels like I'm channeling information. I'm delivering a message to you, and I don't even remember what I've said until I go back and watch it later. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and remember to be beautiful, be free, and be true to yourself, and to be blissed and be blessed because you are. And as you go through your day, and I will go through mine. Let's take care and take it easy. And I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Namaste.